Madagascar 3 for the Nintendo DS is a really bad game. The audio hurts your ears, the game doesn't always respond in ways you want it to. Sometimes it can't even count to 9 and it looks pretty bad, even for a Nintendo DS game. The point of this video is not talking about how bad the game is, that will come in a later video. Instead we're only talking about some of its visuals that may be a little strange. As you will notice, while you're moving, the camera is constantly shaking a little bit. This stops once you stop moving, and after a few seconds the character automatically turns to the camera and you're looking at Marty's barely recognizable mess of a face. The environment and objects are just way too detailed for the low resolution, and objects don't have to be very far in the background to look terrible. While this is already ugly, here's the catch. Sometimes, not always, when you're facing the top left diagonally, the game allows 8 directions, after you stop and turn to the camera just won't stop shaking. Because you were moving to the left, the character was a bit to the right in relation to the center. So when you stop, the camera moves a few pixels to the right to put the character back in the center. Now, what happens in this rare case is the game will infinitely move to the right and drag the character along in order to center it until the player hits a wall. The footage I'm showing right now is sped up. In reality, it took about 14 minutes for the camera to move me this far. Similarly, in the cannon practice in Italy, in Stefano's first level, if you don't readjust the first cannon, you will still hit your target, the trampoline on the other side. But the camera won't stop, as you would have kept flying if you hadn't hit the trampoline. This can result in the camera being so far off that you can't see your character at all for up to a few seconds. Sometimes Stefano also gets stuck between the trampoline and the platform above, and you can only get out by
voluntarily ceasing to exist.
This is the point where most Italy canon speedruns die. Aside from the camera, some of the sprites in the game are a little odd as well. An example that most people will notice at some point is the sprites for the level selection. When you select the level, the black outline of the level's icon changes to a white one, but one single pixel stays black. Many of the icons in the game have these inconsistent, thick black outlines that tend to look really strange. You can tell that many of the sprites weren't actually made as pixel art, as they have inconsistent shapes, colors, and fragments that clearly indicate that they're just rescaled assets made for something else. These also don't mix too well with some of the objects in the overworld that are just two-dimensional assets placed into the 3D environment, and they contribute to the blurry look of the game. In the main menu, when selecting a save file, each save file has a flag and a percentage next to it. The flag shows the flag of the area the game last saved in. So either the Italian flag for Italy, the UK flag for England, or the US flag for New York. The percentage refers to the train score, which is directly tied to how many missions the player has done in the country, and whether the player has finished the country's final performance. However, there is a sort of secret fourth flag. In the very beginning of the game, the player drives the luxury assault recreational vehicle. I'm gonna be referring to it as the Larve from now on, through the streets of Monaco, while being chased by Chantal Dubois. The game saves all the time. Before you enter another area or when you leave it, your game is autosaved so often that I doubt anyone has ever had a reason to manually save in this game. The Monaco Larve section usually only takes 2 to 3 minutes, and after you finish it, the game saves, and you're in Italy. However, it wouldn't be Madagascar 3 for the Nintendo DS if the game hadn't already been saved before you ever even saw the larve. This means that if you quit the game during the Monaco car chase and restart it, the save file will have the flag of Monaco and no percentage on it at all. After the 3 minutes you spent there, you will never be able to go back to Monaco except on a new save file. So most players will never see the flag in the game. As the Nintendo DS version is already missing the Switzerland countryside level, it would not surprise me if Monaco was also intended to be a longer section, or maybe you would have been able to return to Monaco at a later point. I will talk about the differences between the different versions of the Madagascar games in a later video. As you may know, the handheld console versions of licensed games from the 2000s and early 2010s tend to be very different from their home console and PC counterparts. Yeah, that's it for today. Like and subscribe and all of that stuff. I gotta go now because
We are going to the moon.